What up, everybody? Mike here.
Courtney?
Yeah. Danvers Wellness Center. And we are starting to do these random just chats. We're just going to pop the camera on, talk about things that come up, and for about an hour or so. And yeah, it's nothing scripted, you know, as you can tell. And literally, I was like, no, we don't do scripts. I hate scripts. I can't stand them. We're literally just talking about pillows, and I love pillows. I love to bury myself in pillows. And I just mentioned this when I was like, maybe we should just turn the camera on now. Yeah, I like having there's 10 pillows on our bed. So yeah, it's not enough.
At some point, there's gotta be two. Like, do you sleep with all of those pillows?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then,
And then
why have
she
10?
has probably 3 or 4.
Why have 10 on the bed then?
Because sometimes I use when I'm working.
Okay, so you do other things besides sleep.
I do,
in bed.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't.
Oh, okay.
So
every once in a while I'll bring a laptop with me, you know, so yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. I have a lot of pillows on my couch.
Yeah.
Because that's where I set up and do some things.
Mm-hmm.
But no, bed has 4 pillows.
Got it. So as you can tell, this is very unscripted, random, and we're just gonna have fun with it and see what comes up, you know?
Yeah. So we've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Yeah, we have.
Like, when I say long time, probably about 2-ish years or so, we've been talking about this. And that's because half the time we'll just be chatting back and forth randomly between work. And one of us will say, where's the camera? We need to get this, on
This is a
film.
great topic. This is it's perfect right now. And yet,
and then we talk about pillows when the camera's actually on.
Right? We promise it gets better.
Yes.
So, you go.
I was just going to ask, so what's been going on in life?
What's been going on in life, huh? So much. I mean, shoot, I haven't done anything like this since last year.
Yep.
And a lot has happened since then. I've put out a lot of blog posts about life and kind of what's gone down with me and stuff like that. I feel like I'm in a 10 times better place than I ever was, from after going through 7-8 months of just hell, darkest dark night of the soul. Let's put it that way.
The darkest dark night of the soul that ever was to Dark Night of the Soul.
Honest to God, I didn't see it coming,
Well, you usually don't.
I didn't see it, but I should have. Looking back on all the signs and stuff like that, and how my body was acting.
Hindsight is 20/20. You're like, oh, that was a red flag. This is a red flag.
I got brain fog. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm waking up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning with massive anxiety, thinking somebody's going to break it into my house.
Exhausted by 3 p.m. every day.
Exhausted by 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon every single day. I can't regulate my body temperature. I was cold all the time, even when it was 80 degrees in here.
Yeah.
So
last summer.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where I was just like, what the hell's going on? And so did I even pay attention to it though? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess this is what it is, and I just kept going.
Well, let's talk about that, right? Because you're not immune just because you're a healer.
Yeah. You're
not immune to the fact that we live in a society that is very masculine, tells us that if we're not productive on the go, that we're not worthy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you yourself fell into that trap.
Yeah, and that's because back in 2024, I spent a lot of time shifting gears and focusing in on the business. And I spent a lot of time with business coaches and just gearing down and really, looking at making this place successful. And what that took a toll on was my rituals, daily rituals, morning rituals, spiritual wellness, my self-care. I wasn't getting outside enough. I wasn't doing the things that I would be doing, biking, just taking a walk or whatever it was. I wasn't treating my body very well when it came to food,
No, because at that point in time, you were doing intermittent fasting.
Quite a bit of intermittent fasting. And what would happen too is that as the year was progressing on, I was getting really big spikes of sugar.
Yeah,
Meaning
we
I
ate a lot
wanted
of sugar
more.
together here. The
I wanted
candy
more and
bowl
more
would
sugar.
be empty within
Yeah.
like a month.
And I
we
could-
buy a lot of candy.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why am I like devouring sugar right now? It's ridiculous, you know?
Energy levels were depleted.
Well, it wasn't only that. You don't realize that when you have brain fog and you have gut issues and your microbiome is off, right? I just went through some of this stuff last night in the master class on the gut check
Yeah.
that I taught. And when your microbiome is off in your gut, those bad microbials, the bad viruses, fungi, and all those things that are living in there, the bacteria, the bad stuff, they want more sugar.
Yeah.
So if you don't have enough of the good bacteria, fungi, viruses, and things of that nature, and yes, we do all have that, viruses, bacteria, and they're good and they're bad.
We need
them.
to.
We need them. That's, how we survive. When there's not enough of the good ones, then unfortunately the bad ones take over and supersede, and then you crave sugar and processed foods and fried foods and junk and more stuff. And I was getting massive, massive cravings, like nothing would settle my stomach. And then the inflammation kicked in, and then it skyrocketed, and then it became this thing that it was, I'm in and out of the hospital 8 times. You guys want to go to our blog section, you'll see the blog that's written there. I'm not going to get too deep into it today because we're talking about a lot of things, I'm sure, but within a 3.5 month span, 8 times in the hospital, for suspected heart attacks, just really insane stuff. And then by the time April rolled around, I'm on like 8 or 9 medications. I got lidocaine patches on my neck and my back. I'm like, what the hell is happening to me? I used to be really, really fit. And this came as a result, and that's why we call it the darkest dark night of the soul here, is because it came as a result of chronic stress and tension, having developed over years of being in relationships that caused me to be in fight or flight mode all the time. I was always worried that, somebody was going to break up with somebody, I was always worried that a fight was going to occur. So a lot of it had relationship influence there. It came from being a teenager, wound up, a kid being wound up in that environment, and chaos. So chaos wants more chaos because the like is for like, right? And this just happened over a long period of time. It wasn't all of a sudden that my body just broke down.
No, absolutely not. Your body's meant to like last, right? So if at the first sign of our stress, our body decides, no, actually we're just gonna stop. We're not gonna do it anymore.
Right.
Then something is detrimentally wrong with our bodies.
So.
But it was that long.
It was that long. It took years for it to show up in the way that it did last year. And when doctors can't figure it out, and they've run numerous tests on you, from everything from x-rays to CAT scans to ultrasounds to urine to blood to you name it, and they can't tell you what's wrong with you and say that you're fine, we don't see anything, that leaves one place, your nervous system. And of course, the only thing that they kept telling me was it's anxiety. It's anxiety. And I sat there and was like, well, yeah, of course it's showing up as anxiety now, but that's not where it started.
Yeah.
It started
anxiety
elsewhere.
Is not a root. There is a root cause to anxiety.
And I kept saying that. I'm like, I don't want to go on the pill. I don't want to go on that pill. I don't want to go on that pill. And I finally did, and I was only on it for about 5 or 6 weeks. Very short time period. But I can understand why it's really difficult to come off of if you've been taking it for years.
Why is that?
Because
what was your experience?
Well, my experience is that, look, it's a synthetic serotonin.
Yeah.
And serotonin is produced, that's the feel good. All right? And it's produced in the gut. And it can only be produced with food, sunlight, right? So if we don't have those two factors in there and our gut microbiome is off because your diet is massively off, and then years of chronic stress, because stress tends to knot up the gut, right? It bleeds cortisol into your body, and that bleeds into your gut system. It's just a domino effect, you know? So it was years and years of this going on, and my diet used to be spot on all the time. Last year was one of those years where I kind of said, you know.
You changed it up a lot last year.
I changed it up a lot last year between fasting and not fasting and trying to find certain things.
You went
and
more
whatnot.
Carnivore last year.
I went
as
very
well,
carnivore.
And then
yeah. And I'm not saying carnivore is not a doable thing. It is, but you have to understand the balance within it to be able to do it.
So, and your experience with the anti-anxiety medication.
Oh my Lord, man! Thank you for bringing me back to that.
Yeah, we kind of went off on a side tangent.
Randomness. That's what's gonna happen. So, because of the synthetic serotonin being developed in my gut,
yeah,
you have to give your body enough time to develop its own serotonin again. Because once you put something synthetic into your system, your body's natural production stops it, because it sees that it's coming in from an outside source and it doesn't need to produce any. And so because of that, this lag in time with weaning off of it and then having my own natural production start to come back, it took some weeks.
And
You
how
know?
did that feel during that time?
It felt, you feel off. You feel disconnected at times. I mean, serotonin, that's your feel good, man. You know, that's your mood, all of those things. And it's, you know, I felt very off. I felt disconnected. I felt like I was getting brain fog a little bit again.
Yep.
So there were moments where I needed to make sure that I was putting in as much as I could into my system in terms of healthy, natural foods that produce serotonin. Things like turkey, eggs, fish, mackerel, things like that, you know what I mean? So, and getting a wide array and a wide variety of foods to help that new gut microbiome develop in your system so that it populates your gut and you got a big balance of stuff going on.
And that was hard for you too, because at the beginning of the year, you ate the same like 4 or 5 food things.
I did, and I never did that before. Like, look, I'm a nutrition coach as well,
yeah.
right? So I know nutrition pretty damn well, but to understand it at the depth that I do now, whew. So creating meal plans for people and myself, like I'd have a very diverse food plan created for me all the time, where there'd be like a mix of like chicken, turkey, fish, lean proteins, meats, fish, things like that, shellfish, to different types of grains and vegetables and fruits. It was all that, and it was funny because I got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't eat fruits and vegetables. I don't even want them. And it was because over time I started dwindling them out of my diet. I started taking them out of my diet. Those gut microbiome that are developed from those foods disappeared in my system. So so what happens is that bad gut bacteria, the bad gut microbiome, we're superseding that and going, well, you don't need fruit, you don't need vegetables, you don't need good proteins. You know, we want these things. It was a gradual process. So yeah, you know, I'm not immune. I got hit. I got hit hard, man. And it's taken months to be able to come back into a place where I've recouped my energy levels, my fitness, my level of cardiovascular work. I mean, Tuesday night I was out there playing an hour and a half of tennis.
That's different for you.
It's very different. And I was running all over that court. We were smashing the ball at each other. It was amazing. You know, I loved it, you know. Driving the ball, getting back into going to the range for golf.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to do that a lot. And I'm doing that with my kid now. And, you know, like, I'm not just weight training anymore. You know, I'm weight training 2 to 3 times a week, and then including other things in there, whether it be biking or kayaking or taking a walk or a hike or something like that. You know, so yeah, yeah, and it's been a lot since then. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's been a lot. Like I'm back to fasting.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, this morning I broke a 4-day fast 12 hours early. So I fasted for 3.5 days.
Yep.
84 hours.
So tell me a little bit about why you chose to start fasting again in this way.
Yeah, in this way. So with all the research that I did on the microbiome and understanding our body's natural mechanism to heal itself, right? The lack of food provides your body, or your gut, I should say, enough time to rest, repair, and regenerate cells. And so I no longer fast for one day. I will every once in a while if I'm feeling like there's something off within my system and I need to cleanse myself out, right? But now if I do a fast, it's every somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks, and it'll be a 3-day fast. And I've done those a couple of times. And this time I wanted to push it to 4. And the reason why is because there are stages to fasting this way that help your body cleanse itself. So right around the 24-hour mark, your body starts to go into autophagy. And autophagy is basically, think of it, the simplest way I explain it, think about it as all these little tiny nanobot vacuums, right? Little cleaners. And they're all the healthy microbiome and gut cells and everything like that swoop in and start to kill off all the bad cells. They eat the bad cells and they get rid of them because it has enough time to do that.
Through
because,
where?
What do you mean?
Through which pathway? Is it liver?
Oh, so it's directly through the gut, through the liver. It's going into every organ.
Okay.
That's what's happening. Autophagy is basically cleaning itself out completely. You know, so all the good cells are literally eating away at the bad cells. Because when food's coming in, the good cells and the bad cells are actually eating off the food. And if the food that you're putting into your system is not healthy, processed sugar and things like that, the bad cells are going to get more of that and they thrive. And then they just continue to populate over and over, right? So that's the process of autophagy, is the cleaning out of your system, and it needs no food. So at that 24-hour mark, that's where it starts. The peak of autophagy is around 72 hours. Okay? So within that time frame, even at around 24 hours, you're going into autophagy, but you're also going into ketosis.
And what's that?
So that's your body's system of processing your fat stores in a different way so that your body has energy, because it's taken its glucose stores out, right? Meaning that your body's eaten through the food within that last meal, about 4 to 5 hours tops.
Yeah.
You know, it's done with that last meal. So it has no nutrition, no food to pull from, okay? To pull energy from. And then what ends up happening is that after that, there's a process of, now it's going to pull from the glucose within your muscle stores, okay? Once it's done pulling from the glucose for energy and the glucose is gone, now your body's only natural mechanism of energy production goes into ketosis. And that's keto, okay? That's literally what we see all over the place with keto. Keto diet this, keto diet that. Keto is basically the process of your body pulling energy from your fat stores through your liver and making ketones for energy. Okay? Ketones are amazing, and the way your body does this is amazing. And I get pumped every time I talk about it because it goes back to the days of our ancestors when they were literally hungry and searching for food. And sometimes they couldn't eat for 3, 4, 5, 7 days because they couldn't catch a kill, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't find an animal to kill or whatever it was. And so they're left without food for this amount of time. So that you're like, well, how do they get the energy to hunt at that point. They see an animal and they're like, oh my God, we got to gear up. Their body is naturally signaling to them, their brain at that moment, their eyes swoop in, they see the animal, the brain kicks on, signals the process for ketosis and to release ketones. When that happens, you have a burst of energy. Now, it happens for a short period of time. You'll end up like, if you don't catch that animal that time around, your ketones will drop again. Okay, but it provides you enough of a burst within that time frame to make that kill. Okay, so your body's pretty freaking amazing, you know, and I love it because this is what happened to me over the last few days, where I would have small bursts of energy, like when I played tennis, right? I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm literally on like 48 hours without food at this point.
Yep.
Right? So I'm literally 2 days into my fast. I got no food in me, just a little bit of water with some electrolytes like Himalayan salt and sea salt and stuff, right? And all of a sudden, he's kind of kicking my ass. You know, he's kicking my ass. He's up by a couple games and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm dying here. And then something came over me. I could feel the buzz, right? And I took the next 2 games like this. He's like, what was that all about? I'm like, I think the ketones kicked in. I literally felt that rush, that burst of energy. And it was that signal. So we are able to tap into it so naturally if we are in tune with our body and tell it what to do. You know, so it's pretty cool. But I had to break it this morning because 12 hours early. Last night was a really difficult sleep for me. You know, I got past the 3-day mark, 72 hours. By the time midnight, 1 o'clock rolled around, I'm kind of not sleeping well. I'm up most of the night. I get up at 5:30, and I'm literally like nauseous and dizzy, and my stomach feels queasy and stuff like that. And it was about 6:30, and I was like, I'm gonna have a cup of coconut water with some sea salt. 20 minutes in, that helped. But I'm like, I'm gonna make food as a just in case for today.
The electrolytes and that. Yeah,
right.
That's a really good
so I was gonna
way to kind of break it.
Yeah, and I was gonna make food, and I made food and said okay, but I had that weird moment, you know, where I've been watching a series, Limitless, with Chris Hemsworth, right, on Disney Plus, and it's super cool because he went for a 4-day fast, and he was like, I've done the 3 days, right? And at 3 days, I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't eat, but I definitely want to eat. And it's not really an issue. Pushing it to 84 hours, I sat there this morning as I made the food and I had my breakfast. That's a decent breakfast. It was a healthy breakfast, you know? You don't want to break your fast with shit food, you know? You want to break your fast.
Important things.
Right?
Very important.
Very important.
My next question is going to be about, like, you know, who should be fasting, how to fast, things like that.
Right.
Because I think that's important to discuss because not everybody should be fasting in the way that you are.
No, that's so true.
And it's not an all or nothing kind of thing. You didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm just not going to eat for 4 days and see what happens.
No, this was a progression that I got here, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm also putting my nervous system under stress and pressure purposely.
Yes.
Because I need to make sure that it's in tune and it can handle stress. See, that's the biggest thing with our nervous system is that the stress that I was in prior to this whole thing going down was chronic chaotic stress. It wasn't intentional stress to dial up your nervous system's response and say, I can handle this. I can handle this. I'm basically getting to a point where it's not going to break on me again. You know? That's what it comes down to. So when I was sitting there in front of my food this morning, I made it. I got the plate there, and I'm looking at it, and I walked away, and I went and took a shower, and I came back out, and Andrea looks at me, and she's like, "You gonna eat your breakfast?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm having that moment where Chris Hemsworth had it.
Yeah.
He went 4 straight days, 96 hours, right?
Yeah.
Had to catch his own meal, and he was sitting in front of it going, there's a part of me that's so hungry I can't wait, and then there's another part of me that doesn't want to eat it because I've been able to go 4 days without food. What's one more day? I had that moment this morning. I was like, I'm in 84 hours. I said I was going to go 96. I don't want to do this right now. But I knew my body needed the food. So it was a bit of a weird, bittersweet moment that I had to get over. They were like, put food in your body. You know?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So you listened, though.
I totally listen because I've been training myself to do what I've done in the past, is listen to my body. It's what I teach my clients all day long. Mm-hmm. Listen to what is going on. What is your body telling you? What does it need? Yeah. You know?
And then not just listening, but doing, taking action on what's actually needed.
Correct. So yeah. So that's what's up.
So
that's part of it.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about that? Like,
sure.
This, just because we have people watching this.
Yeah, and they think that, I'm going to do a 3-day fast right now, a 4-day fast. Don't.
So.
Not recommended number one for everyone.
Yes.
It really isn't, and there are reasons why. If you're pregnant, don't do it. If you have diabetes, don't do it. If you have some underlying medical condition or heart condition, don't do it. The heart condition is a real thing, because last night while I'm laying in bed trying to go to sleep and I'm past the 3-day mark, I could feel when you're dehydrated.
Because you did a more dry fast.
I started doing more of a dry fast yesterday.
Yeah.
A full day, right? Which just means a lot less water or no water. Mm-hmm. Okay? That really put a toll on me.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to make it to a point where I can get to a 3-day dry fast, no food, no water, you know? But I'm doing it slow. I'm working my way up to it. So yeah, so I was laying there and I could feel like my heart just kind of like beating a little faster. So I'm like, I'm laying down. If I were to check my heart rate now, it's probably at around 80, and it should be around 62.
Yeah,
you know?
Resting heart rate, not good.
It should be between 54 and 62, you know, resting heart rate. If it's at 80, I'm going to probably freak out and be like, I need some food or water. I just better go to sleep right now. So it's a real thing. So just, you want to talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
You know, talk to your medical professional and see if it's something that is right for you to do. Start slow.
Yes.
Number 2.
And also, I'm going to bring it up because we've been talking about this for 2 days now. Fasting, men versus women.
Yeah.
Specifically women in their fertile years.
Yeah, it's much easier for men to fast for a longer period of time than it is for women. Mm-hmm. And that's because of hormonal structure, where you are in your monthly cycle. And listen to me talking about that. Why don't you talk about that? Because you're the woman, you know what I mean? So I just happen to know these things.
You know a lot about like the fasting stuff. Mm-hmm. So jump in whenever.
Sure.
If I say something incorrect or if I'm implying things incorrectly. But so basically as a woman, we have a different hormonal cycle than men. Men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle. So in the morning, they get this burst of energy. Cortisol is the highest. They're feeling pretty okay.
Yeah.
Around noon, ideally, right,
yep.
is when testosterone is highest. They feel great. That's their energy peak. And then it comes down. It's kind of like a bell curve.
And that's the circadian rhythm.
Yes, exactly. So men follow the sun.
Yep.
Women follow the moon. About a 25 to 34-ish day cycle, depending on who you are. Everybody's different. Mm-hmm. But while men have this kind of bell curve shape over a day, we have 3 different hormones that go up and down throughout our cycle, right? Mm-hmm. So testosterone peaks for us during ovulation, whereas it's low the other parts of our cycle, right? So our highest peak is really only lasting 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that in society today.
I know.
When we're menstruating, all of our hormones are low. It is the lowest point that our hormones reach. Every single one. Progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone.
Not too fast during that time.
You do not want to fast while...
That's not the right time.
Yeah, no. Follicular phase is when things start kind of going up. Your testosterone starts to rise gradually, and your estrogen starts to rise gradually. Mm-hmm. But not as much as the testosterone, right?
Correct.
So this is actually a really good time for us to fast because... 1, our hormones say that it's better.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
2, we are actually less susceptible to stress,
Yeah.
right, during that time. Now, after ovulation, that's when our testosterone peaks. We go into a luteal phase, which is where progesterone actually peaks. And that is also not a great time to do long fasting.
Right.
Is from my research. Shorter fasts, which technically all humans fast every single day.
12-12.
We
If you
sleep.
stop eating at 7 p.m. and you eat again at 7 a.m., that's a 12-hour fast.
Exactly. So we fast every day.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't fast enough to get the benefits of
Correct.
it, right? So as a woman, your ideal time to fast would be during your follicular phase, which is typically day 7 through 15, depending on your cycle. If I'm going to say that, I also would, I have to sit here and say you have to track your cycle. Like, your cycle is...
Yeah, don't guess it.
Yeah, and not just like a typical period app on your phone. Like, actually tracking your cycle and not just being like, oh, well, yeah, this period app says that I'm ovulating and it's day 14. No.
Yeah.
No.
You also need to track some other things too, like how you're feeling.
Yes.
Emotionally,
Yeah.
how's your gut feeling? Are you bloated? What's happening? Are you depleted in water? There's a lot of factors.
There's so many.
Don't just jump into fasting, because I didn't this time around. I did before, and
Yeah.
it worked really well for me. I lost quite a bit of weight. I was feeling good, and that was the...
And that's
I
when
actually
you
did
were
it for
doing,
convenience.
what, a 28?
I was doing about a 24 to 28, like an OMAD,
Yeah.
one meal a day basically.
Yeah.
But that meal consisted of about 3,000 calories.
Yeah. So
It would go on for about 2 hours. I would eat for like 2 hours straight.
when we say 28, we mean 20 hours fasting, 8 hours eating.
Correct.
So he would come into the office and not eat the whole entire day, go home and eat his first meal at what? 7 o'clock at
7
night?
o'clock at night, be done by like 9:30, and then go to bed.
Yeah.
No. That's the worst phase. Your best phase is probably somewhere between the 12 and 4, 2 to 6. Between 12 and 6 p.m. is your best time to probably fast, because now you're tied into the circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you get home, that if you eat at 6 o'clock, your last meal, that 4-hour eating window, by 8 or 9 o'clock, that food has been digested, and you're in bed and you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a great rhythm to be in.
Yeah.
So you want to match your meal timing in your eating windows to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, sleep, because that's an easy time to fast.
Yeah. So whatever you do here, just research.
Yeah. Do
Don't
your
just
research.
jump into it. If you need questions answered, you reach out to us about fasting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We know a hell of a lot about it. Trust me, I'm glad that I'm eating food today. I still feel a little funky and spent, and that's just because I think my gut is adjusting.
Yeah.
And I'm also still low in calories right now. I chose not to devour a ton of food immediately today.
Why is that?
Because I woke up feeling a little nauseous and dizzy and a little queasy in the stomach and stuff. So I figured I would slowly reintroduce my foods along with a certain number of calories and go slow for today. I think one of my heartier meals is going to be when I get home.
Yeah.
I'm going to cook up some meat and stuff like that, avocado, vegetables, it'll be really good.
Yeah. That sounds yummy.
Yep, I'm thinking about it right now. Just made my stomach go, ooh.
So
Yeah.
you've had a very physical year.
Oh, I had a physical.
Yeah, there was definitely spiritual and emotional and mental attached to it, but
Yeah,
you
no,
felt it all
This dark night of the soul was
physically.
physical. As I was at one point where I was like, I think I need a walker with tennis balls underneath. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not making fun of that, because I know there's people out there that need those, and I'm not making fun of it, but that's literally how I felt. I felt as if like I was 90, 95 years old and walking around broken.
Yeah.
Legitimately broken. Like, it started I can't even remember where it started. Like my back, my hip, my other hip, then
Well,
my shoulder.
You first noticed it in December of last year.
Actually, September, October.
Yes,
it was
that's
my shoulder that kicked in, and then by December, the hips were really, really tight, you know, and then from there, it just kind of like, it just bled through the entire body. It like, and every time I would call the doctor, he's like, "Where are you feeling it now?" I'm like, "Here," and he's like, "It's probably just anxiety."
That's,
You know?
yeah.
It was my body's way of basically telling me, dude, you have more work to do. Again, we're not immune here. This is what we do for a living. But for me, it became a whole nother layer to kind of speed through this a little bit. Because it was such a physical thing, what was happening was it caused a lot of fear of movement.
Yeah.
If I would move the wrong way, I'd feel so much pain in my neck and my head. I was having shooting pains into my frontal lobe, into the sides of my head. It would spike up, and I'd be sleeping, and all of a sudden I get the twing, like in the back of my head. Now, it didn't hurt. It was just that moment of like, what just let go in there? You know, like you're literally having these physical sensations, right? Like you're having these crazy physical sensations that you're trying to describe to people, you know?
Yeah.
It was impossible. Like I had shooting pains in my chest and my back on my right side that 4 of the 8 times that I was in the hospital, I thought I was having heart attacks.
Yeah.
And every time they ran the EKGs and my blood troponin and all that stuff, like,
weren't they fabulous? They came back wonderful.
they're like, these are so clean, Mike. You're like so relaxed. How do you feel right now? I'd be like, laying in this bed, I feel super relaxed. How else do you expect me to feel right now?
But coming in
here, I was like,
completely different
did you
story.
see me? You know, like, yeah. I mean, it was such a process. So, the physicality of it all really came down to show me that fear was still living in my body. That I had an immense amount of fear of everything, I guess. And that's what that chronic stress over time will do. Putting you into fight or flight and screwing with the mechanisms of your gut microbiome. So many of those ugly emotions will come up. And I remember laying there. This is like a few months in, and I remember laying there, and I finally just was like, you know what? And I looked up. And I said, you know what? All right, you do with me what you will. I really thought I was dying at one point. I really did, you know? And I was like, you know what? If today's the day, if this is going to be it, fine, I surrender. If it's not, then I'm not going to try to create the narrative anymore. I'm just going to allow my life to flow. And I'm going to allow you, God, Spirit, universe, to tell me where I need to be and what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop. Because for so long I was under controlling everything. Even when I thought I wasn't controlling stuff, I was controlling. So, and I finally surrendered to that bigger faith. Yeah. And that bigger place. And within 2 days, I started on the upswing again. Within 2 days of me surrendering my will and just being like, you just tell me where you want me. Tell me what to do. And I'll follow you lead, man. I'm done. I'm here for a reason. If you're going to keep me here, I'll do what you want me to do. And that was super emotional at the time. I remember just bawling my eyes out over that process. And then realizing I was starting to get better little by little,
Yeah.
I mean, during that process, I was working with different practitioners. You were providing energy work on me. A couple other practitioners were providing energy work. I was seeing a no-crack chiropractor, one of our buddies, Colleen. And, I worked with her for about 3.5 months on the patterns within your spine related to your nervous system and sending out those signals to different parts of your body that were telling my body to squeeze up, hold on to trauma, hold on to this. And it was deep layers, because I've done a lot of fucking, I'm going to swear right now. Been trying not to swear all podcast, you know? But I've tried a lot of fucking, I've done a lot of work, inner child work, shadow work, depth work, like really intense ritual, ceremony, and here I am, and I was like, I thought I was good, you know what I mean? I thought I did it, man, you know? What are you putting me through again? It's a layer.
Yeah.
It's like peeling back the onion, as we all say, you know? Yeah, so it was very physical, and when I got rid of that, I got rid of the fear, and now, when I'm in a situation that causes a bit of anxiety to me, I take a quick breath, I reset and refocus, and I'll look and I'll be like, I'm going to do it anyway. And I do it in fear to overcome that fear. And it works every time.
Because you're building resilience.
Correct.
And ultimately, that's what your nervous system thrives on.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been we went camping last week. That was fun. That was a blast. No, it was a really, really good week. It's just that we made a quick realization within 24 to 36 hours that camping in a tent on an air mattress is basically like sleeping on the ground, and it's uncomfortable, you know. And we realized that we were just moving stuff around all the time and reorganizing the food and reorganizing the dry bags and kept moving stuff in and out of the car and repacking, and we realized like all we're really doing right now is surviving.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it hit us. Oh my God. That's what we did for years, was survive. We didn't thrive. And so why are we not thriving right now? And within a couple of hours, we booked a little cabin 30 minutes north of where we were staying in the middle of New Hampshire. And we're in a cabin for the next couple of days.
Yep.
We packed everything up, and it was great. We realized we no longer needed to prove to ourselves that we could survive. We know we can if we need to.
Yeah, you've already proven it.
We've proven it year after year after year. 30 years of camping, I'm good. You know? I'm good. You know? That trip was one of those trips that I made a lot of realizations on.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, back in December of last year, that was the last hike I went on. And that was the hike that showed me that I didn't trust my body. You know? And coming off that mountain was brutal. Yeah. I was like broken. I didn't understand. It was the first time I said I can't trust my body. Yeah. This past weekend, last weekend, before we left on Friday, we did a small hike, about 1,000-foot elevation, a little waterfall area. But driving to there, I had massive amounts of anxiety because I hadn't been on a mountain since last December. You know?
Just a little while.
Yeah. I haven't tested my hips, my back, you know, in that way. And so I had a massive amount of anxiety. We pull into the parking lot at the trailhead. I get out of the car, I take a deep breath, and I got really emotional. And it was the realization of like, can I do this? Am I going to get stuck up there? What's going to happen? You know? And that's when I pushed through it again. And I was like, just breathe, walk up that first hill, and just get into the scramble. And about half a mile up the first scramble, something in me just was like that beast appeared again. My lung capacity was even. I wasn't having trouble breathing. Yeah. I didn't stop. I had to turn around. She had to tell me to slow down. And she don't slow down. You know her. She don't slow down. She's like Energizer Bunny. Normally it's me going, can you slow down? Man, I can't keep up with you. And she's 5 feet tall. Yeah. You know?
I know.
She got littler legs than I do.
I'm picturing her being like, slow down, I've got little legs.
Right? And I was like, oh, she's like, this is one of those hikes that like we really want to enjoy the scenery. And it was beautiful. Yeah. You know? And I was like, you're right. But we didn't stop once back and forth. Yeah. Just to quickly see things, but it wasn't because I was out of breath or because my body couldn't handle it.
It's because you were taking in your
I
surroundings.
was literally taking in my surroundings. It was beautiful. I realized I could do it again, and in a way that I hadn't been able to do it in 20 years.
Wow.
Now how's that?
Mm.
You know? Yeah, that's my shit going on lately. God damn.
There's a lot.
Yeah. What about you? Talking about me the whole goddamn time.
I know. My year this year has been a lot more on the emotional side than you were more the physical. So, I don't know, end of last year, I lost one of my grandparents, my dad's dad, and that was an interesting emotional experience for me.
Why?
Because we didn't have the greatest relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask why was that?
He wasn't the greatest guy in the world, but also he wasn't in my life a lot.
Okay.
And
was that on purpose or was that?
Partially.
Okay.
It was partially on purpose because, you know, my dad also didn't have a great life with him.
Okay. So he didn't see his son, so he's obviously not going to see his granddaughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he had been sick for a long time. He had a couple of major strokes years back. He had dementia. He just wasn't doing well health-wise. So it wasn't like it was a surprise, but,
Sure.
you know, it happened, and I kept getting people being like, oh my God, he was such a great man. I'm so sorry for your loss. And me, I just felt angry. It was the first time that I lost somebody and felt such anger at just the world, I think.
Okay.
Because typically, I mean, and I've lost a lot of people in my life, unfortunately. They've been very close with me, like my grandmother, my step-grandfather, my aunt, who lived literally upstairs from me for basically my whole childhood.
Right.
We were all very close. I loved them dearly. And yes, I was younger, and I probably put them up on a pedestal, and I'm an adult now, and I did not with my grandfather, obviously, but
Sure.
It was still a different experience for me to just not feel sad and to just want to rage.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you saw me during that
I
time.
did.
And I'm not usually a very angry person.
You're not, but it's usually the ones that are not very angry that I find have some hidden anger
Yes.
down in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
You know?
So I had to process a lot of that. I had to process, you know, the fact that he was my grandfather and he didn't really want to be in my life. He was my grandfather and he wasn't really allowed in my life.
Closure
So
is what comes up for me.
Yeah.
You didn't really have a lot of closure
I
or any
didn't.
closure with him.
I didn't. And like I said, he wasn't the greatest man for many reasons, and I'm not going to get into all of them because a lot of them are very personal to my family. But
Of course.
you know, me, there was that sense of abandonment. Like you're my grandfather. Don't you want to be with your grandchild? Don't you want to be a part of your granddaughter's life? Don't you?
Right.
He didn't even come to my wedding when I got married.
Wow.
And part of that was because he wasn't in good health, and it would have been my dad bringing him back and forth, and my dad didn't want to do that because
So your dad had a lot of anger.
Yeah, my dad
Okay.
had a lot of anger towards him
Understood.
as well. So that didn't help a lot.
Okay.
But I mean, it also would have been a 3-hour plus drive because we got married in Gloucester.
Yeah, but it's
And,
don't
you
you're
know,
making excuses.
I am. I'm justifying.
You're justifying.
I am justifying.
With the ride.
But
Stick with the anger.
But yeah, I had to process a lot of that. So that was the end of last year. And then at the beginning of this year, my last grandfather, and I got lucky because I had 3. My last grandfather that was alive went into hospice. He wasn't doing very well. And then he ended up passing a month and a half after he went into hospice.
Okay.
And January is a month for me.
You got a season, do you?
Yeah.
We all do.
It's that January, February area of time, which sucks because that's my birthday.
Okay.
So,
I got June and July.
Yeah. That's,
It is for everybody.
It just
we
is
all
what
got a
it is.
season where, just like the seasons in New England, we have a season where things don't go so well.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah. And it seems to be the same repetitive season every single damn year. It's not like it shifts.
No.
I thought I was through mine this past year. I got like into like late July, and I was like, wow, I surpassed the 4th of July, and nothing is happening or anything. And all of a sudden, like, I was like,
You had a few things pop up.
I was like, God damn it, it was just late this year. A couple weeks late, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So January, February is my season, and there was a lot going around that time, and him being in hospice was one of them, and
Sure.
that one I took very differently because both of the other grandparents that I lost before these, my grandfathers, I was younger. I was 13 when my grandmother died, and I was in college when my step-grandfather died.
Okay.
But I was still, like, not really as emotionally mature and, like, spiritually inclined.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a really difficult time losing them. Losing my mom's dad was more of like I didn't want to see him suffering anymore. It was so hard to watch him suffer, and then the like domino effect of that was the whole family then had to watch him suffer. And you know, it was I had a conversation with him, and you know, I don't know if he understood me in his humanness, but I like to think that spiritually he did, you know. And I was like, you know what, like, it's okay. It's all right, Papa, if you do need to go.
Yeah.
You know? They'll tell you how. He's got all of his siblings. He was the last of his siblings. I'm like,
okay.
You know,
a lot of people waiting for him.
He did so many.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we'll take care of everything. You know, we got this here. It's gonna be okay. But it took him a while, so that was a tough one. I spent a lot of my childhood at my grandma and papa's house.
Okay.
My mom's a single mom. My parents got divorced when I was 2. So she raised me mostly on her own. I was an every other weekender with my dad. And with that came the help of the grandparents.
Of course, it always does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I stayed with my grandparents when I was young.
Yeah.
My kids stayed with my parents.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a you know, they're built-in babysitters occasionally.
Rite of passage is what I call it. You know. You think that the grandparents are going to pass on wisdom.
They're going to pass on child care.
Yeah, they're going to pass on child care, cookies,
Yes.
get them all hopped up,
Sugar.
and then by the time you get to pick them up. Anyway.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of my childhood with them. When my aunt died, that we lived in the same house as, we had to move because we had to sell the house. And my grandfather then, because I moved out of the school district,
Yep.
took me back and forth to school every day.
Got it.
Until I was able to drive and I got a car.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and even then, I'd get out of school, I'd go to their house because it was closer to dance, which I had to go like 45 minutes later.
So did you have a lot of anger and resentment back then? For not seeing like your grandfather?
My dad's dad?
Yeah, for that relationship.
I think back like in childhood.
Not in childhood, but like teenage years, later on.
I was a very angry teenager.
You mentioned that to me before.
You've experienced that before.
A little bit. A couple times. Yeah.
In childhood, I didn't understand.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
because I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know why things were the way they were.
Sure.
And also, it kind of just felt normal to me because that was my life.
Right.
Whereas, once I got to teenage years, my dad's dad ended up getting a girlfriend who, on his behalf, sent me a birthday card. And it was the only birthday card that I ever got from him.
She was obviously trying to mend some fences for him.
Yeah.
Maybe do some fixing.
Yeah.
You know?
She made it worse for me.
Of course she did.
Because she made me realize all of the things that I never got to experience
Right.
with him.
Right.
Right?
She brought it to light.
Exactly. So I think I was like 15, 16, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And she sent me the birthday card, and I was like, fuck that.
Right.
And at that point, I think I was thinking, you know, I don't need him in my life. He hasn't been in my life. Why do I need
It's
him
such
now?
an easy way to think that way.
Yeah.
You realize, I don't need him in my life.
Yeah.
That's the anger. You know? It's so easy to think that way. And then you realize, like, I just had that moment recently.
Yeah.
Where I made that realization. I'm like, all right. But even in the moment, and that's because I know so much, you know, after having years of emotional intelligence, growth, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That the realization that I made in the moment of being angry, because I was allowed to be angry. I realized that.
Of course.
Right? But in that moment, I realized to myself too, if I choose right now not to see this person, I know I will never see them again.
Yeah.
That bothered the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So I chose the opposite.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that never bothered me to think about that with my grandfather. And I think it was because I didn't really see him growing up. In fact, I have a very clear memory. My grandfather's name is Bruce.
Okay.
Very clear memory. I had to have been 7, 8 years old, somewhere around there. Maybe even a little bit closer to 10, because it might have been around the time when my uncle died. I remember being young, and I don't know what I was talking about, but I remember calling him Uncle Bruce instead of Grandpa Bruce.
Okay.
My dad had pulled me aside afterwards and said, "You need to stop calling him Uncle Bruce. It makes him feel bad because he's your grandfather." Thinking back on that, I'm like, well, one,
Here's the anger. I can feel it rising to the surface.
one, I didn't know him
Right.
because he wasn't there, right?
Sure.
How am I supposed to know that he's my grandfather if I'm not told at that age?
Right.
And if I'm 9 years old and you haven't been around for people to be like, "Oh, that's Grandpa Bruce,"
Mm-hmm.
how am I supposed to know?
Exactly.
2, I felt like I was getting blamed for it. I felt like it was my fault because I made the mistake,
Of course.
right? And looking back and reflecting on it now, like that was shitty. to make a child feel that way. But that wasn't my dad's intention.
No.
He was feeling pressure too, probably from his own father,
Right.
maybe from his stepmother,
Sure.
you know, to make sure that they felt comfortable. But at whose expense? Unfortunately, it was mine. So, I mean, it's the abandonment. It's the, I thought that grandparents were supposed to be there, and you weren't. But guess what? I wasn't the one who had to live with it.
Right.
I didn't choose it. And yeah, it made me angry, but I don't have to go to my grave being like, I done fucked up.
Right.
So, and there's a sense now of like worthiness, a more like, the people who are in my life are meant to be there, but also it's an honor to be in my life. Because I don't just let everybody in.
No. And people might hear that.
Yep.
You know where I'm going with this,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
People might hear that and be like, that conceited, oh my God, like who does she think she is? And
Yeah.
go ahead. Elaborate on that a little bit.
So, we all get to pick and choose who we want in our lives. And I know, as an eldest daughter, a woman in society today, we often feel that if we don't connect with everybody that's in front of us on a very personal level, on a very intimate level, get to know them, are very thoughtful. If we don't do that, then we fail.
Right.
We are flawed. We are imperfect, and we are the ones who feel the effects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The other person sitting in the chair doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Nope.
me feeling like it's an honor for other people to be in my life is me bringing my sense of worthiness back, me bringing my sense of deservingness, of good, positive people in my life. And also me being able to say, actually, you're making me feel horrible. You're making me feel not right. You're making me feel like, you know, whatever it is, some type of bad vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing myself to be like, actually, I don't need you in my life anymore.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So the past couple of years too, I have also cut people out.
Same.
Few and far between. I'm not saying that at the first sign of bad vibes or bad energy to be like, oh no, I don't need that in my life. That's not the thing.
Right.
But if somebody is constantly picking away at self-worth, at your good thoughts, at what you, if they're picking on you, if they're just making you feel
They're
bad.
judging you, they're criticizing you all the time. And like, look, every one of us should be able to take criticism, right? But that criticism should also come from a place of love.
Yeah.
And being genuine,
Yes.
being authentic about it, not because it's coming from a place of jealousy.
Yes.
You know, you need to understand where it's coming from.
And I will also say on this point is I feel like it's an honor for me to be in other people's lives as well.
Yeah.
So it's twofold, right? Other people can choose whether or not to have me in their lives, and also they can cut me out at any time.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Look, I look back on all the scenarios that I've gone through in my life and stuff
Yeah.
like that when I was being an idiot, you know, for a really long time, years ago.
Yeah.
I look back at those times and I remember friends cutting me out of their life.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Because they chose a better way than what I was choosing.
Yeah.
You know, what was I? At the time, I was angry. I was upset. I was sad about it. I was depressed about it. And it was like, oh my God, I'm losing friends. What's going on? I don't understand why they can't be here for me during this time. Victim, victim, victim. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
I'm there.
been there, right?
Yeah.
So, but today I look at it very much like, look at if there's somebody in your life, there are a group of people or somebody in your life that genuinely are not
They're
in
not
it
here
for your
for
best
your well-being.
interest and
Yeah.
well-being, and vice versa, if there's not a reciprocation in that relationship, then why is the relationship happening? People are going to cross our paths all the time, and that's perfectly fine. Some people stay, some people go, and some people come and go.
Yeah.
You know, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a purpose for everybody that crosses our path.
Absolutely.
There really is. There's a lesson to be learned from everybody.
Yeah. And just because somebody gets cut out or you get cut out doesn't necessarily mean that it's for good, that it's forever. People can change their minds.
Exactly.
You know, and with that, there's a sense of like, sometimes control.
Yeah.
Of like, well, I have to make this work, or no, you don't.
Right?
No, you don't. You don't have control of any of that.
None.
But you do have control of how you get to feel every day.
Yeah.
And if part of how you feel every day is like shit because somebody's in your life and they're making you feel that way, then you have the control to be like, nope, I'm good.
The saying of if you want to take a look at who you are and where you're going in life, take
yeah.
a look at the 5 closest people in your circle that surround you.
Yep.
And you will see who you are. So if for some reason you look around and you're like, I really am not a big fan, then guess what? You're not a big fan of yourself in the moment either.
Yeah,
So
because it's ultimately just a mirror.
Things need to be changed. People need to be changed in your life. And yeah, it's a sad thing at times when people come and go. But the beauty, I still see the beauty in that short-term relationship.
For sure.
I got the opportunity to be in that person's life for that a short amount of time, and they got an opportunity to be in my life for that short period of time. God, I hope they
Yes.
walked away with something.
Yeah.
I hope I was
The
able to give them
lessons
what
that-
they needed
yeah, the
for
lessons
their life
that
in that
came
moment.
from it, the benefits that, like,
Exactly. Because I know in
There-
every one of my relationships, I've taken something,
yes,
you know, and not taken something, but I've
you've
taken
walked
a
away
lesson.
with
A
some
lesson,
type
a
of,
realization, a piece of life growth, whatever it was, you know.
good or bad.
Good or bad, it doesn't matter, because even the bad is good because it gets you to see the things you need to work on,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
I know we can talk all day,
We
right?
literally could.
I
We've
think
been
we're right
talking
on
for a
that
while.
cusp right now. We're gonna be back.
Yeah.
We're gonna do these on a monthly basis and stuff, and